Hello and welcome to the Half Court Press podcast. It is the opening day of the NFL, but we don't care about that. We don't care about that. I'm setting that up to say that.
Yeah.
I think that I want that to be our thing. We're gonna casually acknowledge a football thing that's happening, and then chop that shit down because we don't care.
I'm gonna be the one chopping it because I especially don't care.
Joel especially doesn't care. The rest of the country cares a good deal, but we don't because this is a basketball podcast. And today, we are going to do a time-honored podcast cliche. It only took us 5 episodes to do a fantasy draft. We're going to alternate drafting Creighton and Nebraska players. Joel's not happy that he has to pick from the Nebraska roster. He texted me, what did you text me the other day? NU is ass or something like that?
Probably.
Something like that. So it gives me more of a chance. It gives Nebraska fans more of a reason to be invested in the podcast. Basically, what we're going to do, we're using this as an opportunity to break down the rosters, which we've been doing on and off, but this is just, we're going to zoom in on a player when they get drafted. I'll be breaking down most of the Nebraska guys. Joel will do so with the Creighton guys. First of all, Joel, how are you feeling today?
I'm cool. I've been working hard. I just came from that volleyball game yesterday, which is like the game of all games if you're going to watch volleyball. So I'm drained, bro, to be honest.
It's almost the end of the week. We'll get there. Are you adjusting? How are you adjusting to Omaha? What are your initial impressions?
I like Omaha a lot, bro. I'm ready for basketball season, though.
Aren't we all?
If we being truthful, all this talk about basketball and all the schedules coming out got me.
That's right. We're still waiting for the Big East schedule to drop.
Yep.
I guess I could do. I hate with a passion all the hullabaloo that surrounds schedule releases. In football, I kind of get it because there's such a finite number of games. That's my email notification noise for everyone who's wondering. I get it because your schedule can be tilted in a certain way where it's easier. In basketball, you're gonna play everyone anyways, and maybe it might be slanted. Like Nebraska, you can read this Nebraska schedule release that dropped earlier today any way you want. We already knew who. That's the other thing. We already knew who Nebraska was going to play. We knew the Big Ten pairings. We just didn't know when those games were going to be played. Now we do. The sequencing matters somewhat. Like, for example, Nebraska has a really tough stretch from November 24th to December 17th, where they'll have to play at least 7 games, maybe 8 in a row against high major teams. 4 against teams that played in the NCAA tournament last year, 2 against Indiana and Creighton on the road against conference favorites. But it's just like they're going to play 7 games against teams that finished with a 350 winning percentage or worse in conference last year. They're also going to play 7 games against the teams that finished in the top 4 last year. So, I just throw my hands up at it. I wrote 2 stories about the schedule, frankly, because I was asked to. It's not a passion project of mine. It's just a way that I plan my winters. It gives me a better idea of where I'm going, when I'm going there. So I don't know. If you're looking for spicy schedule takes about the basketball season, I'm not going to give them to you. That's just a brief overview on it. All right, Joel, let's draft. I want to get this done as quick as possible because we've been running longer than I like. Do you want the first pick or the second pick? And then you can get 2 picks if you get the second pick.
Do a coin flip? Wow,
a coin flip? All right, I'm gonna flip my water jug.
No, watch this.
Okay.
This is the cool thing about the times we live in.
Okay.
What you want, heads or tails?
I'll take tails because it never fails.
Okay. Hey Siri, flip a coin.
Oh. Damn. All right, so you pick.
You had tails, right? Okay. First pick. This is tough picking among Creighton players.
Sam Griesel disrespect.
I like Sam Griesel, but man, I want to set the tone, and I feel like if I pick this dude, I know who you're gonna pick.
Okay. I don't think you know who I'm gonna pick, because my rankings, I ranked both. I did a big board for both teams individually, and my number one spot is not who you would think it is.
Well, I got some faith in him attempting long balls this year. I'm all about gravity. You're gonna hear that a lot in this podcast.
Spacing.
Spacing,
gravity,
all that. So. Why not just make my defense a top 15/20 defense off rip and get Kalkbrenner?
Wow. Okay. Well, first of all, I'll tell you that was my number 1 player on my board for Creighton.
It was?
Because I wanted to do that. That's what that was exactly my thinking. Was just if I can guarantee myself a good defense, I'm trying to do that.
Yeah.
So, damn, you foiled my plans. But real quick, the Ryan Kalkbrenner player caps. Okay, we're like, let's pretend this is a real draft. Jay Billis is talking in front of Ryan Kalkbrenner's highlights and drop coverage right now. Jay, tell us a little bit about Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Well,
the player.
I really like his projections because he projects as a great drop big in this league. No, but seriously, Kalkbrenner is like, I don't know, he's a walking defense. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like college to NBA comparisons, but if you talk about in the grand scheme of things, with all these bigs that are essentially dominating college, especially this upcoming year, Kalkbrenner does feel like Rudy Gobert in a lot of the sense. Obviously, they're probably different on offense, but in terms of just having a walking defense, I mean, going from, probably like a top, I don't know, 60-ish defense, 60 to 80 range to just put him on your team and instantly elevate into like a top 15 defense is a huge difference, and he's that difference. He embodies that difference.
Yeah, here's the thing. Using Ryan Kalkbrenner and Rudy Gobert in the same sentence is a lot. Rudy Gobert is...
College is Rudy Gobert.
Right. Rudy Gobert is like the best regular season defender by advanced statistics, maybe ever in the NBA.
Yeah.
Ryan Kalkbrenner is probably not going to be that NBA. But you put him in drop coverage, which essentially is when you're guarding screens, you have your big man hang back and encourage the point guard to take a pull-up two and keep the big man as close to the rim and the paint as possible so that he can deter the guard from driving and hang back and be closer for rim protection, right?
Yeah.
That that takes away one of the best avenues for teams to generate advantages. If you can get into the lane, that's when defenses collapse. And if you have a big guy and Kalkbrenner moves pretty well for his size, right? If you have a big guy who can deter players from doing that and make them take long twos, particularly in college where the shot making is just worse. We've talked about this before. You force guys into pull-up twos, you got a good recipe for success, and that's a lot of what Creighton did last year. They were number 19 in defensive efficiency by Ken Palm's metrics, and Ryan Kalkbrenner had a very large hand in that ranking. So that's a good pick. I need to retool over here because that's what I was going to do.
Yeah, and let me add, for his size, I mean, he's a real 7'1". Like, he can hedge well and get back better than plenty of bigs.
He moves well.
You're scared when you turn the corner and see him in the middle.
He can chase you down.
And then around the rim, I mean, you talk about deterrence. Like, that's one of the guys.
And we're already doing a bad job of going fast, but his foul numbers are so low. He was averaging like barely 2 fouls a game last year, or two fouls per 40. I can't remember which number I saw. That is so rare to have a dude who's such a shot blocking presence and doesn't foul. So that's a great pick. You have a good defense, which is half the battle. My draft room is scattered right now. Our plans,
too many calls
our plans have been foiled. We're trying to trade the pick. We can't find anyone who wants it. We're going to take Arthur Kaluma because we think he's the best talent on the board.
Yeah.
Arthur Kaluma, great. I mean, as a stretch big, as a big wing, as a secondary creator, he can do all those things. There's a reason he's going to be likely to be a first-round pick next year. If the jump shot comes along, you saw he made some threes in that Kansas game. You get a glimpse of what that potential is. I think he's probably the most talented guy on the board. I don't want to overthink it when you have a situation like that. You're up, Joel, and you have to pick a Nebraska player.
I have to pick a Nebraska player.
You have to pick a Nebraska player. So we're going to go Creighton, Nebraska both ways.
Okay, fine. You make this easy for me. I'll take Sam Griesel. Give me a big guard that could run the show, set the table. And frankly, we got a whole slew of guards that could probably do that here. We got some really talented guards on this board, but feels like probably the biggest part of Nebraska's offense this year. And it just feels like such an easy pick for me.
There's a lot on Sam's plate. He's going to be the highest usage guy in the offense. They're going to give him the ball a lot. He's going to be the orchestrator of everything they do. Defense, you like that size at 6'6". Quickness, I worry a little bit about as a point of attack guy. I don't think he'll be guarding the opposing point guard very often, and you know that can be challenging if you don't score on offense. You get caught in cross switch or cross matches, which is basically the guy that was guarding you end up having to guard him because you miss and transition happens quickly, that sort of stuff. The jump shot is another thing for Sam that I've been picking at. He shot 37% from three last year, but only on like 2.2 attempts per game, and he made less than one per game curious to see how that carries over. But yeah, I think that's a great pick. He's the number 1 Nebraska player on my board. So without him, I guess I will take my number 2 player, Emmanuel Bandamel, the transfer from SMU, who I'm not going to ask because I have Kaluma already, and I'm going to get another creator, whether it's a Creighton guy or a Nebraska guy. But his ideal role was probably what he was doing at SMU, which is off guard, 3-and-D, create, attack closeouts and create when you see opportunities. But he was mostly a catch and shoot 3 guy, and he's going to guard the best perimeter player on the other team. So I like having a guy like that. I didn't get my rim protector, but if I get a guy who can cut off the point of attack, it's not quite the same impact, but it's the same idea in that if you can stop the guy who is the best at getting through the defense, then you can sort of cut down on those advantages that offenses need to get defenses in scramble mode. So I'll take Bandamel. I like the jumper. I like the defense. You are up with a Creighton guy.
This is hard because I like the chemistry between Griesel and this one guy. But it would be a crime because you do mention Griesel at the point of attack, and they talked about this guy a lot in terms of
I know who you're taking.
Just defense and probably being that guy to point at the other team's best perimeter player and say, hey, go pick him up. I got to take Trey Alexander because on top of that, he's just we saw last year during that tournament run just how much he could take over and take the keys, create for himself, and he just has. I love his bag so much. Like those turnaround midi phase. Like I love his game. That's my pick. You talk
about you like having gravity, you like having space. This is the dude who shot below 30%, maybe even what did he shoot? Let's look that up real quick. I know he shot below 30% from 3 last year.
Sure,
but he might have even shot below 25.
I will say, and this is very rare to see this, but it felt like
28% from 3 last year.
It felt like Creighton's shooting last year as a whole, everybody down the line was just such an anomaly. I think they shoot better as a group this year, and I think individually, it's hard to see Alexander not shoot.
He's a shot maker. He's a shot maker. I mean, like you saw in the tournament games against San Diego State and against Kansas, just guy who's taking tough pull-ups and making them. And once he gets in a rhythm, he can get to the cup really easy. He's got good size. I'm very high on Trey Alexander. That's a good pick. Okay, I'm going to take the dude you were just about to take if you didn't take Trey Alexander. I'm going to take Baylor Shireman, who is definitely the most interesting dude to discuss in this context, given that Nebraska and Creighton were both finalists in his quest to find a new home in the transfer portal. Yep. The dude is a super creative playmaker. He's a great three-point shooter. I think he shot 46% last year at South Dakota State on a high volume, and he took some tough ones too. So we love that. With him, whether we're playing Shireman at the 2 or the 3, depends on what I'm doing with the rest of my perimeter guys. We'll find out, but that guy's super creative as a playmaker. He shoots really well. He's got good size. Again, point of attack defense, not in love with it, but I think he knows where to be, and he's not gonna kill you on defense. We like that a lot, and I don't know, like Emmanuel Bandamel, Baylor Shireman, Arthur Kaluma. We got ourselves a pretty good looking offense over here. Joel, you're up. It's a Nebraska guy.
Now, I do want a proven shooter here.
Okay.
Someone with decent size to be a college 3.
Yep.
And someone who I think will take a scoring leap this year, obviously with some guys from last year's team out of the way. I got to go with C.J. Wilcher here.
Okay.
Yeah.
C.J. Wilcher, he's a shooter. And to this point, that's mostly what he is. He even played some 4 last year because he had a stout frame. He's dropped some weight this offseason. I'll be interested to see what that can do for him as a perimeter defender, and as a offensive creator. I don't think C.J. Wilcher will ever be a guy that you give the ball to and say, here, do stuff. But can he get to the point where he gets a rebound and pushes a break? He did that a little bit at the end of last year, which was encouraging to see. Just the ability to attack closeouts in more creative ways, do more with it when it's not just it's not as It's not as I'm trying to think of the potential for him to do things besides drive to the rim after pump faking a guy or sidestep and something like that. That's what I'm watching for CJ. That's the next step in his development. That's a good pick. So you're dealing with just a quick check in here. You're running out Ryan Kalkbrenner, Sam Griesel, Trey Alexander, and CJ Wilcher so far, correct?
Yep.
I got Kaluma, Emmanuel Bandamel, Baylor Shireman. I'm on a Nebraska guy, and I will take Wilhelm Breidenbach as my first big. As my first big. Now,
it's a great pick.
If it depends on which conference we're dropping this team into. Wilhelm put on some weight this offseason. I don't think it's a stretch, and I don't think anyone would expect him to be able to hang with a Hunter Dickinson or a Trace Jackson Davis in the post right now as a sophomore, even though he's added muscle as he rehabbed back from a torn ACL last season, or a knee injury, I should say. We don't know that it was a torn ACL, but if you look at the timetable, you can kind of do the math. He's just a really skilled big, man. Last year didn't get a ton of chances to show it because he only played 10 games before he got hurt. And he didn't shoot it very well last year. Shot sub 30% from three, which was supposed to be one of his big selling points. But he's a guy who, we're talking about hedging, he just works really hard on defense. Nebraska was not afraid to send him over screens and recover last year. He did get into foul trouble at times. And he did, for the number of minutes he played, his limited role, he fouled a lot. So that's something that he needs to get used to, particularly because he is a little bit thinner than most of the guys he's going to be guarding. That's not even really why he got into foul trouble last year. It would be like, he gets too aggressive hedging a screen or coming out on a ball handler around a screen, and he gets a reach and foul or something like that. It can be ticky-tacky at times, but that stuff matters. Referees are going to call that at times. You get bad breaks, and you don't want to put yourself in that position. But as a passer, a guy you can give the ball to on the block and run some DHO stuff with, a guy who can, in theory, shoot the ball and even attack off of that jumper, attack closeouts if guys come out too hard on him, or dribble past another big man if he in a face-up game situation. I love his potential. That's why I got him as my first big. So you're up now, and you're taking a Creighton dude. It's good that we're both on the same. I would get mixed up otherwise.
Yeah. What round is this, by the way?
We're in round 5.
Fifth?
Round 5.
It will be
so in theory, you're taking your 5th starter right now, or it could be your 6th man, whatever.
This is the thing with this pick. It feels insane to not draft this guy. He honestly could have went 2 rounds earlier. Frankly, right. if we're being
there's a glaring name still on the board here.
Yes, and frankly, we're gonna have to figure out the 4 spot for sure. Maybe even put CJ Wilcher at the 4. Don't know.
He'll go back. He's done it before.
But it would be a crime to not draft Ryan Nembhard here. Just a real poised guard. Obviously has the turnover problem that he's gonna have to work out. I think this season will definitely pose some challenges in terms of decision making among that starting lineup, and he'll have his own problems in terms of not only trying to fix this turnover thing and just be more careful with the ball, but just make the right decisions in terms of sharing the ball, and which is something. I mean, he won't have that problem, but he might even have to choose when to be selfish. I think with this lineup. And just a real good pick-and-roll guard, fast as hell, get downhill.
Yep. Small but quick.
Honestly, I probably want to make him my starter if I didn't have to draft from Nebraska. He probably would have been my pick instead of.
Well, we're gonna do a how many of each of these players would have gotten picked if we expanded the pool thing at the end here, but. I hear you. That's a good pick in terms of just talent and value at this point, at this stage of the game. It gives you a good problem as a coach/GM to be able to play around with those lineups. I think I was looking for the tinker is the word I was looking for there. Tinker around with those lineups. It's a good problem to have. Okay, my turn. I'm taking a Creighton dude. This is interesting. Now we're getting into the dudes that I don't know as well. I will take. Let's see. Where am I at here?
Well, what's your lineup right now?
Right now I got Arthur Kaluma, Emmanuel Bandamel, Baylor Shireman, Wilhelm Breidenbach. So I can, this is a moldable group. I can do a lot of different things here.
You can grab a guard here.
I can grab a guard here, and I just might. It's basically I'm between two.
I know
And it's an upside play or it's a known quantity.
I know what you're looking at. Yeah.
I think I'm going to take Ben Stoltzberg, the freshman, from Southern California. I'm a Southern California dude. He's a Southern California dude. Has experience as a guy, as all these dudes do. But as a freshman or as a sophomore at Notre Dame High School in LA, was their leading scorer. So he knows what having, if we're projecting in the future. Right now, my team is Arthur Kluma, who may be going to the NBA next year in this imaginary world, and in real life. But for my team, it's an imaginary world. Emmanuel Bandamel, who's probably not going to be here next year. Baylor Shireman's not going to be here next year. Grad transfers. So I need someone who I can pass the baton to, right? And this is a guy who has done that before. Is very confident. Also, did you know I was doing some Googling yesterday, sitting at a coffee shop trying to prepare for all the different scenarios we might encounter in the draft. Did you know that Ben Stoltzberg appeared on an episode of Gilbert Arenas' podcast?
Yes,
Isn't that crazy?
That's how I found out about him. And then
Isn't
when
that crazy?
Committed to Creighton, it was like, damn.
Yeah. So they did a whole episode, an hour and 20. I would not recommend. It's Gilbert Arenas. He's got a very successful podcast.
I don't like that podcast, especially back then. I don't know if they still have this dude on the podcast, but the other host is like, there's no point in him even being on the show. Like, Gilbert just talks the whole time. It's kind of unbearable, especially because sometimes Gilbert is just so not only
Gilbert's
animated,
extra.
but like, Gilbert has a different brain, bro.
We're gonna. Yes, you're right about that. I was gonna say I don't think it's a great idea. Yeah, I need to give Joel. We're in the dark right now. The lights went out while Joel was talking. It kind of flustered me. The other thing I would say about that podcast is just like putting a high school sophomore on your hour-long podcast is a big ask, just because they're not that used to being interviewed, which makes them not that good as an interview. So I don't know. It was great exposure for Ben, I'm sure, and we're happy to have him on our team. But I'm not. I wonder if people can hear Joel shooting the Nerf gun at the light sensors. It's fine. We're partially in the dark here, but it's fine. I'm up.
Oh, it worked.
Great. We're excited.
I'm a sharpshooter. They should draft me.
All right. All right. We got Kaluma, Bando, Shireman, Stoltzberg. No, you're up. I lied. I should have just given you the baton to draft, and then I could have done the light stuff.
We still on we on Nebraska, right?
Yes.
Okay. Gotta go with another Cali dude. I think I'm gonna move CJ Wilcher to the 4 in this lineup because I just prefer spacing, honestly.
Okay.
I honestly want to go Jawan Gary here, but if in this imaginary world Kalkbrenner doesn't provide the gravity I need,
Right.
then Jawan Gary and Kalkbrenner's nasty. So I'm gonna go with Ramel Lloyd.
All right.
I like him, like his potential. Obviously a ranked guard, and frankly, he gonna get some big minutes on this team because he probably gonna start at this rate. But
it's interesting, man. That's kind of like you talk to people. I've talked to a couple people about Ramel, and there's an interesting conflict there because Fred needs to. I think that the bar that Fred needs to clear this year is much lower than what many people who are passionate about Nebraska basketball think. But he does have to show market improvement this year. And that means your leash is going to be tighter on some of the guys who aren't as experienced, like Ramel Lloyd, a true freshman who has never played Division I college basketball before. The Quarren McPherson injury makes it undeniable. This dude's going to have to play. He's going to have to play. But I do wonder how much they're going to put the ball in his hands. Like I could very clearly envision a scenario where Sam Griesel is your primary ball handler in most lineups, and when Sam's not in there, they're giving the ball to Bandamel, and they're doing a little bit of a staggering with those two guys. But Ramel, I think Ramel should have the ball a lot. I think they should let Ramel try, give him the ball and see what happens. If he makes mistakes, oh well, he's a freshman. That's going to happen. But he's a creative passer. He's a better playmaker than I think he's given credit for. He's huge, which, as we talked about before, he's 6'6", man, as a guard.
Yep.
That's really big. That's really big. He's going to be able to see stuff that other guys can't see just because he's 6'6". And He's got some twitch. He's got some burst to him. That's not something you can say about a lot of other guys on this team. Nebraska told you, by going after Keontae Johnson, by having him on a visit, they told you, we think we need more juice. Ramel Lloyd's got the juice. So that's a good pick on your end. I'm up. I got a Nebraska guy. So we're basically taking...
Wait, I thought you just took a Nebraska.
No, I took Stolzberg.
Right.
I took Stolzberg. This is interesting. I should be deleting these guys as we go, too. I'm getting confused about who's there and who's not there.
I'm marking the X's and all that.
I think I'm going to take Jawan Gary. I'm building an old team, man. Jawan Gary, defensive stud, intangible stud. The dude's going to play his tail off. Classic in this situation. He may start for Nebraska. I don't know how it's going to shake out yet, but for my team, classic. Bring a guy off the bench for 15, 20 minutes. He may not generate a single shot for himself or anyone else as a ball handler, but he'll do it on the offensive glass. He'll create opportunities for transition by getting defensive stops. I just like everything I'm hearing about him. When you watch him, the dude just doesn't relax, and you need guys who are going to do that regardless of how much they touch the ball. And I do wonder, if you're transferring from a good program like Alabama, do you transfer in part because you want to touch the ball a little bit more? That's an interesting thing to think about and monitor going forward. But we know he's willing to do the thankless stuff. And I love good defenders, plus defenders. Challenging to fit as a spacing guy. He's like 5 for 48 or something as a three-point shooter in college basketball.
Not great, but
that's not great.
But to be fair, I'm not saying he's going to make some crazy jump as a shooter or he's even going to get the chance. But it was pretty hard if you're in Jawan Gary's shoes to even get threes off on that team.
For sure.
I mean, they're one of the more prevalent three-point shooting teams in Alabama.
Right.
And I mean, they just had all the guards in the world. That's guard you.
Fred is a legendary shooter. That was one of the reasons Gary came to Nebraska, is that he liked Fred. He thinks Fred can coax a little bit more shooting improvement out of him. And you can, we always talk about in basketball, guys who can't shoot, guys are just going to ignore them on defense, and it's going to clog up the paint. You can mitigate that by being a good cutter. And I think Gary does a good job of running baseline and getting open for if a guy is playing off him, you can't just ignore him. He's going to find ways to make an impact on offense. So I'll go Jawan Gary.
Yeah, an interesting tidbit about Jimmy. I was just looking at this while he was talking. He writes J-Dog on the side of his gallons.
No. I didn't write that. That was Z, our director of visuals. Well, I didn't write that.
Okay.
I didn't write that.
Okay.
I do love explaining that to you and every other person who asked about my water jug. I know. I feel like a gigantic loser walking around with it, but I don't want to buy another jug.
And I had to throw that out there because I hope y'all know, because I drink gallons too. I bring gallons with me everywhere. I hope y'all know when y'all see my gallon, it does not have J-Dog on it. That's not me. So.
It doesn't. Well, that's what I get for leaving it in the newsroom one day. I don't love it, but I don't know. It adds to the novelty of it, I guess. You're up, and I think you have to take a Creighton guy now.
Yeah, okay. There is, we got a plethora of guards on this team, even a couple that are good sized. We don't really have any true forwards on this team. So, I really could take a backup big here, and I'm pissed that I'm leaving a couple guards on the table, but I got to take Mason Miller. It's an intriguing pick because obviously he didn't play last season. This will be the first season he can crack the rotation, and I think they're pretty confident that he'll be in it.
Shooter.
Yeah, he's a great shooter. I mean, this team has a few guys that look like they can be really, really good shooters, including Shireman. But Mason Miller, I mean, the way they talk about him, it feels like even if Mac did stick to this tight rotation he does every year, which it feels like he'll expand this year with the kind of depth he has, Mason Miller would be in it anyway. I mean, they talk about him. He's the best leaper on the team, best vertical leaper on the team. I've seen that bounce via IG. I mean, he's doing windmills and all type of crazy stuff. He's good size anyway. Even if he never puts the ball on the floor, get up, shooter as an off-ball guy. I mean,
good size too.
As an off-ball guy, that's
he
really all you
dudes.
need.
He can shoot over dudes.
So I don't
Doesn't even have to be open.
I don't know if he's going to be that good this year or if he's going to be good at all. But right now, in this prospective draft, it feels like the right pick.
I'm going to take Francisco Farabello with my next pick. I'm delighted that he's still here. Also a capital S shooter. Brings with him a plethora of experience at TCU. Played with Desmond Bain, who of course was a great shooter at TCU, now a great shooter in the NBA. That's valuable experience. That's the kind of stuff that's going to make his teammates listen to him. I think that's important for the Creighton side of things in real life, and for my imaginary team that will never play a game. By the way, if there's any sickos out there who want to create both of these teams on 2K and then drop me a roster link, I will gladly smack Joel with my team while he gets to use his.
Jimmy doesn't know yet, and if y'all follow me on Twitter, y'all are going to see.
Joel's tweeting about 2K all the time, but he doesn't know I do it the same. I play a lot of 2K, and I win a lot.
Jimmy,
I ruin teenagers' lives playing 2K online.
Jimmy don't know, man. He must not have seen my tweet from yesterday. He sees I tweet about 2K, but he must not have seen the tweet.
I saw your tweet.
My record.
Your record in the park. Oh, sweet. You spend a lot of time playing my player. Sick.
Yeah, that's the main game mode on the game.
That's not what I play. I play real basketball with real teams. But I guess
that's now? That's such an old head thing.
That's fine. I play my team too.
I like my team.
Yeah. But hey, if anyone wants to create these rosters on 2K, I'm not going to do it. But if you want to do it, and then I don't know, we could like Twitch stream that or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Hey, I'm with that. Hey, somebody please do this. If you're listening this far, please do this.
If you could do this, or probably more likely, if you have a kid who you think can do this, if you have a 12-year-old son who I mean, it's very easy. You can definitely create teams and players in 2K and make it happen. If you have kids who have the prerogative to do so, please do that. Please reach out.
And please give them college-based overalls. Don't make Ramel Lloyd a 65 because that's what you think he'll be in the NBA or something. Please give me real overalls.
Yeah.
And I got the PS5. And
I mean, we can even, if we just need the teams created, we can adjust the ratings once we get the roster.
2K23 going to be on my system tonight. So,
exactly.
Hey,
so we'll get there. Let's do it. That'll be fun. Okay. So I just picked Farabello, yeah?
Yes.
You're up.
Ooh, this is tough. I think we got to go with a backup big here. Are we on Nebraska now?
You are, yeah. So am I.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Blaze Keita. We need
nice.
We need a backup big.
Good pick.
I like Fred King a lot because they.
Blaze is just more. He's just older. He's more ready.
He's older, right? Exactly. Like Fred King is a guy. They talk about his potential. Staff really feel that he'll be an NBA guy. But I mean, Blaze Keita was a real demon in JUCO. Got some college basketball under his belt, and for a backup big here, it feels like it's just good value.
Actually saw Blaze walking out of the football stadium. I was walking out of the football stadium from football availability. He was walking in because that's where all the athletes go to get like their lunch and stuff. He looks good. He sounds like he likes Nebraska. I went down to Coffeeville to write 3,000 words about Blaze last March. He's got a great story, and from by all accounts, he's beating people up in practice. The dude plays super physical. He's ready for the Big Ten yesterday. I think he's Nebraska's. Well, their big rotation's super tricky, but he can play backup big man right now in college basketball. Good pick. Better passer than he gets credit for too. I like Blaze. I'm also going to take a backup big man. I'm going to take Derek Walker. Tried and true. Probably a steal at this point in the draft. He's almost as old as I am, so we can relate on a coach-player level. This is his 6th year of college basketball. He's probably the only one of these dudes that was still in college when I was in college. So again, we love that chemistry. He could be my coach on the floor when he's in the game. He broke Nebraska's school record for field goal percentage last year. He wasn't shooting a lot, and he only shoots when he's about 2 feet from the rim, and he probably should. And we talked about this before with big men who are quote unquote expanding their range. They say Derek's shooting threes this summer. Derek probably shouldn't be shooting threes during games this year, but we'll give him a try. We'll see how it's looking in practice, and we love having a veteran presence like that on our team. He's a little bit undersized as a big man, but he knows where to be. He's strong. He's definitely not getting the better. When I was watching, he would always. It was so funny. There was a little dance with Derek where he would always say, Hunter Dickinson comes to town or Kofi Coburn comes to town. You ask him about, well, how do you deal with a guy that big? He would always say, I'm strong too. They're not that strong. It's like, buddy, they outweigh you by like 40 pounds. I understand what you're saying. It's good to project confidence, but there's a certain reality here. And he even said during the offseason, it's nice to have Blaze around because he doesn't have to play. He's not going to have to guard those guys as much. So we like Derek as a person. We like Derek as a player. We like Derek as a leader. We're happy to help him. Happy to have him on our team. You're up. You got Creighton, dude.
Okay, I gotta ask.
What's up?
How deep are we going into these rosters? Like, how many guys are we drafting?
Scholarship guys. I've got players still on the board for Creighton. I got Jason Green, Sharif Mitchell, Fred King, and Christophilus. Am I missing one?
I'm trying to think.
I don't think I am. How many? They have 12 or 13 on scholarship.
No, I think you got everybody.
Okay. And then on the Nebraska side, we've got Jamarcus Lawrence, Keisei Tominaga, Denham Dawson, Oleg Koyanets, Quarren McPherson. I wasn't sure what to do with because he just is out for the season. And
Well, we are missing Xander Yates.
Xander Yates. Okay, that's the other one then. So okay, we can draft. I was thinking we draft all the scholarship guys.
Oh, this is gonna get ugly. I'm like Mac. I'm not gonna keep the widest rotation. So
This is where our analysis is supposed to quicken, speed up.
yeah. Okay. What are we looking at here? I'm looking at my lineup here. We're on Creighton, right?
We're on Creighton.
Okay. You took Farabello.
This is Jason Green, Sharif Mitchell, Fred King, Christophilus,
Yeah, okay.
and Xander Yates.
The obvious pick here feels like Sharif Mitchell. Like
Okay.
if one of these,
My dude shoots 0 threes. 0.
but he's also a great defender.
Great defender.
I think
Undersized, but
he could play next to Sam Griesel. He could play next to Trey Alexander.
take the defensive load off those guys.
So it feels like a steal at this point. I mean, we're in like the 10th round.
We're
or
getting
something,
late.
So yeah,
We're getting late.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Jason Green. Versatility at the forward spot. Can shoot it. Can attack the rim. I like how he projects as a long-term guy. I think he was a 3-star guard, number 2 player in Nebraska this year. I like him a lot. Joel, what is the long-term ceiling? What does Creighton think Jason Green can be?
I think he could be a starter for them at some point. Maybe even, I mean, with all these guys that are clearing out, maybe as soon as next year. I don't know. I think out of all the guys that are looking at, he's a sound player. Great size to just finish around the rim, and I think he projects as a solid enough shooter. Really feels like at this stage like a combo forward for them, maybe with the lineups they run.
Yep.
So I think as soon as next year, you'll really get to see what Jason can do. But it's a good pick for where we're at. It's a great pick.
Agreed. So that leaves me with Fred King, Christophilus, and Xander Yates. I'll go Fred King. I think I need another big. Breidenbach is undersized in.
Whoa! Why are you picking again?
You just picked.
You just picked. You picked Jason Green.
Oh, I picked Jason Green?
Dude.
I'm an idiot. Okay, you're up. That's right, because then I gave it back to you. Yeah,
Dude,
see? Come on, man. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
Pick somebody.
This is hard.
You're choosing from Jamarcus Lawrence, Keisei Tominaga, Denham Dawson, Oleg Koyanets, and Quarren McPherson.
Yeah, this is pretty gross.
Quarren McPherson.
Yeah, I in this fantasy world, I'm sure McPherson isn't hurt, so I'll go with him. I mean, this is guard you at this point, but I mean, what can you do? We don't have a lot of options left.
Q compares to Sharif Mitchell. I think that's probably what Nebraska sees him as long-term. Plays really hard, good defender. The offense needs to improve, and by all accounts, it was improving. They think that he was going to play a part of the rotation this year. So he's a great culture guy. I mean, they couldn't stop talking about how awesome he was as a leader last year, and that was his first year on the team. So dig the pick. I'm going to take two guys that are pretty similar here. It's either do you want Keisei or do you want Jamarcus Lawrence? This may coincidentally be a question that Nebraska answers during the season, because one of those guys is going to get it tight with the rotation, and you're going to have to decide who you want to give those minutes to as a shooter and who's going to be thinking about transferring because there's not a lot of minutes and guys want to play. I'm going to take Jamarcus Lawrence. Youth, pedigree, a little bigger than Keisei. I like his defensive potential a little bit more. The guy, shooting can be, the three-point line's longer. The opportunities are less, which makes confidence more fickle for shooters when you go from high school to college, right? But everyone by all accounts, this dude shoots the lights out, and you're always gonna have a spot if you can shoot the ball. Give me Jamarcus Lawrence.
Hey.
Creighton. All right.
Creighton. You didn't take Fred King, right?
I didn't.
Now this is tough because.
Wait, did I? Or no? I took Jason Green.
Right. Okay. So this is tough because Kalkbrenner's going to play most of the game in this fantasy world. We're looking at Blaze. You know what? I'll take Fred King and let him and Blaze kind of fight for those backup minutes. Xander Yates is enticing here, good shooter, but I'm not sure how much he does for Creighton this year. And frankly, I'm just going to ask CJ and probably Mason to play a lot of the forward minutes on this team anyway. So let's go Fred King up.
All right, I'll take Xander Yates, shooter. Long-term development project for our guys. I'm not sure how much he'll play for Creighton or for my imaginary team, but we're happy to have him aboard.
We're 11 guys in now.
We're 11? Okay.
So a lot of these guys are going to be sitting pretty on the bench.
Right.
Nebraska now, huh? Let's go Keisei. He's going to look good on the bench.
Keisei's a shooter. Kills it every time he plays for Japan. Had a moment last year, had 25 against one of the mid-major schools they played. He can get hot. He's fun. The crowd loves him. We'll see. Like I said, him and Jamarcus, I think, are fighting for the same role this year. That means I got to take either Denham Dawson or Oleg Koyenets. I'm going to take Denham. Defensive guy right now. Again, he's kind of like the forward version of Q, I would say. They love his potential as a defender. They love his intangibles. The offense just needs to catch up a little bit. I think it's helpful that he enrolled early last year and got to practice with the team for a semester, but there's still a ways to go there. I'll take Denham Dawson, which leaves you on the Creighton side with Christophilus, yeah?
Yeah, I think that's the last guy on their team.
Yep, that's it.
So, okay, so this would be our 2, 3.
And that means I got...
So this would be our 13th man. So we're not going past this.
Right, so I got Oleg then.
Cool with me. Okay, so let's read off our teams now.
Yeah, let's do it.
See how they kind of fit. Okay, I think... So my starting lineup would be point guard, Ryan Nembhard, shooting guard, Trey Alexander, small forward, Ramel Lloyd, power forward, C.J. Wilcher, and then my center is the big man, Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Okay.
And off the bench we got...
Dude, my team might smack your team. I'm not going to lie.
Your team
might smack your team. I'm just saying.
My bench is Sam Griesel, Mason Miller, Blaze Keita, Sharif Mitchell, McPherson, Fred King, K.
Sam off the bench?
And Christophilus.
We're rolling out Ben Stoltzberg, Emmanuel Bandamel, Baylor Shireman.
That's your backcourt? That's your starting backcourt?
Stoltzberg and Bando, yeah.
Bro, you're not... Your team
okay, but
listen,
keep listening. Baylor Shireman, Arthur Kaluma,
That's cool.
Wilhelm Breidenbach. I don't know. I think I got better play. I got better talent on my team than yours. You guys might...
No. I would took Shireman, but we needed more defense.
I hear you. Off the bench, Juwan Gary, Francisco Farabello, Derek Walker, Jason Green, Jamarcus Lawrence, and then Denham Dawson and Oleg Koyenets are probably in our developmental program. I like my team.
I like my team. I like my subs.
Me too. I like my subs too. If we were to expand, because we were originally talking about maybe doing a Big East and Big Ten draft, how many Creighton guys get drafted in that expanded pool, do you think? Probably the top 5, I would guess. Probably still get drafted.
Yeah, I think
Your starting 5.
Yeah.
Anyone else, do you think?
I like to say at least 4 out of the 5 get drafted.
Who wouldn't?
I don't know who you leave off. It's probably...
I think they all do.
Well, if you're going between the whole Big Ten and the whole Big East?
Yeah.
I don't know.
If there's only 2 teams, yeah.
Without having dove into it already,
you're right.
It feels like such a big pool.
It is a big pool.
But it would probably be between the backcourt, honestly.
Okay. One of those 2. If we expand this pool, Nebraska guys, I don't know. I could see Sam Griesel getting drafted. I could see Ramel getting drafted. Maybe Wilhelm. After that, it's pretty thin.
Yeah, gross.
It's pretty thin. Okay, we're going to wrap up real quick. Sam tells us to do this in the middle. I forgot to do it, but
and let us know. Let us know on our Twitter comments.
Yeah, who do you think? Who do you think has the better
Whose
team?
team is better?
Who do you think has the better team? I'll do like a Twitter poll later with both of our teams. Real quick, Joel, I was super excited earlier this week. This is gonna be the rap minute, and then we'll stop.
Okay.
Big Sean's Detroit mixtape is on streaming services. Is one of the best mixtapes of our generation. What is your favorite mixtape of all time, Joel?
My favorite. Oh my gosh. I will say this: when people ask me, like, the albums that influenced me growing up, I can name probably
Albums and mixtapes are different, though.
I know, but there's a point to this.
Okay.
When they ask albums, I say Good Kid, Mad City.
Okay.
I say probably ATLians by Outkast, and then either like Illmatic or like 36 Chambers.
Okay.
So because it's a tape, it never fits in there. But in terms of tapes that raised me, it is probably the tape that raised me. I'm going with Joey Badass, 1999.
Ooh, okay. That's a good answer. He was 17 when he made that. Isn't that crazy?
Bro,
Do you think about some of that?
And Nas
Same with Nas. Yeah,
Nas was 17 when he
made
started writing
Illmatic.
Illmatic. Yeah.
I would say my favorite musical project of all time is Faces by Mac Miller. So I'm gonna put that to the side, and just because I don't know, it feels like such an album to me, and it's my answer for everything. I wear the hat everywhere. So I'll go number 2. I don't know. There's some Wayne mixtapes in there. I'll go Soul Tape 2 by Fabulous.
That's
Just
interesting.
the grooves are.
Jimmy's showing his age right now.
The grooves are immaculate. And if you grow again, we're not that different in age, but we're different enough in age to know that, like, I know you didn't grow up like wanting to be Fab with like the basketball jerseys, and like I did. I wanted to be Fab.
I feel it.
It would have been a bad look for me, but like when I see that guy, even now when he's old and corny, I'm just like, that guy's so cool. He's got the smoothest bars. He's got a great voice for it. I don't know. Those tapes are classics.
He can still get out on other rappers' beats. He can still get out
sure.
when he drops those type of tapes. He's like the rap. Like if Jacquees was like respectable, like he like the rap Jacquees, how he can get on people's beats. I don't know, man.
Wow.
He's still nice with it.
It's a great comp. Maybe a little disrespectful to Fab, but
that's why I said if Jacquees was better, nice for real. But
all right, that's it for the Half Court Press this week. I'm Jimmy. He's Joel.
Bow.
We'll see you next week.